everybody. Welcome back to the Real Talks podcast. I'm your host, Jay Realabit, and I am with a good friend who is a performance coach. And I'd like for her to dive into exactly what she's doing and let her introduce herself. But I have Kelsey here on. If you could see her, I'm sure you can. But Kelsey, nice to see you. Thanks for coming on to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, I know you're always busy and you stay proactive online and social media, and that's how you and I, connected. But for our viewers that's starting to watch, the podcast and listen to the podcast, please introduce yourself and kind of talk about what you're currently doing in your business.
Yeah, sure. So hey guys, I'm Kelsey. I am a high performance coach. I specifically work with business owners that are in the creative and digital spaces. A lot of people who are at that six-figure level and looking to push a little bit forward, but in kind of different ways. We really focus on streamlining their personal systems, their personal workflows, routines, really learning how to step into those leadership shoes. And we do that in combination with also optimizing the actual back end operational structure of the business. Being that they are at that level, I'm sure many business owners here know you end up wearing a lot of hats and a lot of the responsibility falls to you, and we can get really stuck in the business. And so, learning how to have a little more control over our processes and create those systems, we can create some more space where we can increase our revenue, we can increase our time freedom, and additionally, we can really decrease the stress that we're experiencing as business owners. So,
That's
yeah, so that's a little
awesome.
bit of what I do. Right now, I've got a launch. I'm doing a 5 day free challenge for people who are
Awesome.
looking to get a taste of how to apply that to themselves as a business owner and the operations of their business.
That's pretty cool. You must. Is this your first challenge that you're doing, Kelsey, or have you've done it before?
No, this is actually my first challenge. It's not my first event that I have put on. I
Yeah.
love putting on events and all that stuff, but it is definitely my first challenge for this specific offer. So I'm really excited to be sharing it with people because it's been qualified with quite a few clients that I've worked with and all that. And I figured, why not try to share it in some
Yeah.
sort of dose for other people who want to like see what this could do for them?
I love that. And you mentioned you're a high performance coach. I'm a founder of my small business, and I'm also a business coach and advisor. And I truly believe that having a right mentor on your side will help you in so many different ways. Um, Kelsey, I'm not sure if I think I did tell you, I'm a Navy veteran. I served for 21 years. So for us, while I was on active duty, I've always had a mentor that's above me who's been to where I wanted to go to. And I also mentored a lot of sailors that are junior to me because I got into a very high rank. And as you climb up the ladder in the military, as well as in the corporate world, right? You tend to have a lot of people that's going to work with you or under you or whatnot. So I truly believe in mentorship. So when I retired from the Navy and wanted to get into entrepreneurship, I hired my very first business coach, and it truly helped me succeed so quickly rather than me going on it at it by myself. And so I
Mhm.
generally believe that what you're doing and what I'm doing now as a coach and advisor will help a lot of people. And it doesn't matter whether you're a new entrepreneur or a new business owner or even experienced CEOs who's been in the
Mhm.
business in the industry for many years. There's always an opportunity to have somebody that's helping you look at things in a different view per se that you may
Mhm.
not see, right? So that's pretty awesome. And then also going back to the challenge that you're launching on you said it's on October 9th, right? I
Yep, it's yep launching October 9th. Mhm.
Awesome. And I actually signed up for that, so I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm coming back from a vacation in Cancun with my family, and then the next day I'll participate in the launch. And I actually going back to it. I don't know who's helping you with that. I don't know anything about doing a proper launch, so I ended up
Mhm.
hiring um, another coach, which, like I said, I'm a big believer of
Yeah.
coaching because I don't like doing it on my own and falling, flat like my face without having the right person or people to help me. So yeah, I did end up hiring somebody else to help me with my group launch, which is probably going to
Cool.
happen in November. So
Exciting. Very
I'll
cool.
I'll keep you posted. But yeah, so
Yeah.
going into how you got to be a high performance coach, could you walk us through that journey?
Yeah, sure. So, there's one thing I just wanted to touch on before jumping into that. I
Yeah,
was going to
yeah.
say, I love that you advocate for coaching and all of that, and that you yourself you have coaches. I think, right,
Yes.
like as a coach, if I'm going to be selling, I'm selling what I'm selling. I better also believe in what I'm selling.
Yes.
And I'll say, just like you, I've had multiple coaches at this point, and I have a coach now who's actually helping me with my launch, since
Awesome.
it's my first go around. But like they do help you, they help you learn the steps faster and it gets a
Yes.
little bit smoother. And I believe in having that mentorship just because I don't know everything. I'm learning as I
Right.
go, which I think most entrepreneurs do. So
Right. Right. No,
I
it's
just wanted to piggyback off of that.
no,
Um,
amazing. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. I know people that spent even millions in coaching,
oh
but
yeah. Oh
and they're
yeah.
multi millionaire and
Hmm.
very very successful. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, so a little bit about my journey. I
Yeah.
actually have a very odd journey, I guess you could say. So
Yeah.
my original career field was inpatient psychiatry. I used to work as a mental health specialist. So when you think of in a hospital, an acute unit, people who are
Right.
really struggling with mental illness, I did that for 6 years. And
Nice.
I loved that job. It was a great job. I have a very I have a spot in my heart for psychology and for
Hmm.
psychiatry and all that. Before I was supposed to go on for more schooling, and before doing that, I wanted to take a break and do some traveling. And I had studied abroad when I was in university, and I knew this was on my roster. I just wanted to pick up and go somewhere in the world where I didn't know anybody. So I was a solo traveler,
Yeah.
and just kind of experience life outside of the regular demands that I had had. And unfortunately, I had a very difficult upbringing. So I had to grow up very, very fast. I was
Mm.
kind of on my own at 16. And, I did all the things that society expected of me from there, went to school, got a big girl job, paid off all my
Yeah.
debt, all the things.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so it was important for me to go travel. And it was in my travels. I was only supposed to be gone a year or two.
Yeah.
Fast forward 6 years later, I had been solo traveling and living outside of the US.
Oh my gosh. So it
Um,
took six. So you've been traveling for 6 years. It's in essence.
yeah, and
Yeah.
actually, I just moved back to the US like 2 months ago. This is like the
Wow.
first time being back. Yeah, so it's a little bit of an adjustment, but
Yeah.
it was during my travels that I realized I wanted to keep traveling and I was interested in getting into online work. And that's how I stumbled into entrepreneurship. I
Mm.
originally started a business, it was a VA business on operations and systems, which
Nice.
which I was doing. It was good. It wasn't necessarily something that like I was passionate about, that
Right.
I loved. I didn't know anything about the coaching realm, and my career path was originally psychology, and
Right.
that is a passion of mine. And I do have this, desire to really help people with cultivating mental wellness and resiliency and all these things. And so I stumbled into the coaching, and I found that business owners and entrepreneurs were really motivated to work on these things for themselves with their personal performance, their personal development. How can they be more resilient in the face of, the ups and downs that come with entrepreneurship?
Yeah.
And I also found that it was a very nice fit, just like we need, routines and habits for ourselves, which are just systems. It's the
Right.
same idea for the back end of the business. And since I had been doing that as a VA, that's where I kind of brought that unique position of the two
Mm.
together, which I think doesn't really exist out there.
Right. Right.
And that's what I've been doing now with the high performance coaching and working with the six-figure business owners and running away with that.
I love that. I love that. And so you've lived pretty much outside of the country. I personally love to travel as well. I feel like I don't get to do that as much, but it's understandable because I do have a family that
Mhm.
I just can't do that. But um kind of let's kind of go back into your to your travel journey. Like, did you live from different places like at a time? Like, one year you're in Mexico, another year you're in a different parts, different country, or tell us a lot about that because I know a lot of people would love to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just for the record, right? Like, I didn't start off as your traditional digital nomad.
Oh, I see.
That's not what I wasn't doing, right? I quit my job and
Hmm.
I started in Australia. So I did the holiday working visa, which is 1 year in Australia. And I lived in Melbourne for several months. Then I lived in like, pardon my French, bumfuck nowhere, outback. Like I worked
Hmm.
at a roadhouse for like
Wow.
multiple months. Lived in a van on the coast for a while
Ah,
and
that's awesome.
yeah, and I was working in the country because it's very expensive. So I was just doing odd and end jobs.
Yeah.
Um, if I'm being honest, I really didn't like at the time I was 26, 27, and I had
Yeah.
already started a career. I was a very hardworking individual, and I didn't really like the way that I was being treated as a backpacker by employers.
Ah,
Um, they kind of because it makes sense. There's a lot of 19-year-olds that come over and they're just like there to party and have a good time and
right, right.
they do a little bit of work, but they don't necessarily have the greatest work ethic. And that was not me. But I was still treated not so great, which I didn't really enjoy. And so I was like, I don't want to keep doing this to fund my travels. I want to get into something that I can bring money in for myself. And then, so from Australia, I ended up in Southeast Asia, which was like never on my radar. I had
Wow.
never thought about going there. I ended up in Indonesia, which Bali, everyone knows, has
Oh
blown
my
up at this point.
gosh. Yeah.
I love Bali. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful, but I didn't necessarily want to live there. I was there for about 6, 7 months. And then I went over to Vietnam and I actually ended up living in Vietnam for 2.5 years.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and these were my home bases. I
Right.
traveled around places, but like those were where I lived. And then I actually ended up back in Indonesia after that, except for I was in Borneo most of the time rather
Borneo,
than
yeah.
Bali.
Yeah.
Most people don't know much about Borneo. It's
Right,
very,
right.
very local. I had been dating a partner there for quite some time, so I got the full experience, like with his family and
That's
the
so
food.
cool.
Oh gosh, I miss Indonesian food so bad.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
We don't have a lot
but yeah, so I did.
here in the
No,
United
no.
States. Like, yeah.
Mm-mm. I did find I have a YouTube site where it's all Borneo home cooking, and it is
Wow.
in Indonesian, but I know quite a bit of Indonesian, at least around food. I know
Yeah.
the language around food. So I'm gonna try to start cooking some stuff at home. It won't be anything like near what it is, but
Right, right.
um certainly gonna try. And then so then after Asia, so I was there about like 4 years, 4.5 years. And then after that, I went down my last stint was in Latin America. So I was in Colombia and I was living in
Wow.
Medellin. And
Mhm.
that was really cool. I love that because I could more fluently speak the language and connect more. I really, if you can't tell, like to talk. And so I liked connecting with the community.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah, so that's kind of what I did. I was a very much so a slow, long-term traveler.
Wow, you lived a life that maybe a lot of people don't know what happens behind the scenes, but with your big overview, I feel like even for me, that's a dream to be able to just work anywhere. I want to live a simple life, enjoy it, and then just work to to just have support my lifestyle. And I feel like that isn't something that's amazing, and I hope maybe one day later on I get to experience that and just travel around the world. And for many people that I know they would love to live that life that you just did, and I give you a lot of props for doing that and doing it solo as well without some like a family member or a best friend that's traveling with you, because a lot of people would be scared to like live in Southeast Asia, especially a woman, a female, and
Hmm.
just exploring out there, and then going to Colombia, you said as well, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's you're a brave soul, and I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
but now you're back. You're in the Illinois, close to Chicago area. What made you come back in the United States? Is it more so for your business and really get it established?
No, so my business has actually been doing great. Like
Yeah.
I've been doing fine with that, and I am like as of now I've been like in scaling mode with different marketing avenues and things like that.
Yeah.
Thus the launch. But no, it's actually a really sappy little love story.
Uh,
So
let's
I'm in
hear
the
it.
city of Chicago. Yeah, I'm in the city of Chicago, but my now boyfriend. I've known him for 20 years, so
Wow.
we grew up in this kind of same neighborhood. I would have never he was like, a little shit bully on the bus growing up. And we would have never worked in our teens, our
Yeah.
20s, any of that stuff, but we were friends and we had a similar group of friends, and
Yeah.
he's always been part of my crew that whenever I'd
Yeah.
come back to Illinois to visit family, I'd be like, "Yo, Sean, I'm around, want to grab a beer? What's up?"
Yeah.
Um he's always been kind of in love with me. And then
Uh, that's
the
so
last
cute.
time yeah, the last time I was visiting was last year, and we like, crossed that friendship line, and
Nice.
I ended up getting all stupid and in love, and
Uh,
I actually brought him to Colombia with me to give him a taste of my life, and
yeah.
he fell in love.
Wow.
Um, yeah, he was there for about a month and really enjoyed his time. And so it gave him a lot of different ideas and perspectives about what he wants to do. But he's an electrician, and currently his work is tied to the Chicago area. So
Yeah.
I said, look, I've been traveling for 6 years. I'm happy to make Chicago home base, but just know during the winter, because I have my business set up the way it is, I am going to fuck off and go travel
Yeah.
for like, 2 to 3 months. If he
Yeah.
can come with me for any of it or all of it, I'm super pumped. Which is our plans actually come winter time at the beginning of next year. We're going to be back in Latin America. So we'll be
That's
doing that for a while. And then, but for now, home base is Chicago. And I've never lived in the city of Chicago. So I'm super pumped to like get to check it out, especially since I'm from the outskirts of it and
yeah.
all that.
That's amazing, and yeah, you'll make time to be able to travel and go outside, especially in the wintertime. It gets super cold and that
Yeah.
on that side, right, of the United States. So, I definitely like that idea as well. Just being able to go somewhere. If Latin America, I'm sure it's going to be nice and warm during the wintertime, and
Hmm.
enjoy it right there. And yeah, very cool. So that being said, I want to ask you a couple of basically follow up question.
Sure.
But I love that, you found, you moved back for, for him as
Love.
well, and for love, and sometimes, you really have to, to make time for that, right? Because we're so busy usually, and but at the end of the day, you need somebody who's going to be supporting you, emotionally, physically, and mentally. And I'm glad that you took the time and making it work. So and plus you've
Yeah.
known him for years, so that's awesome. I would
Yes, it's
like
benefit.
so yeah, for sure. So I'd like to ask you now. Obviously, it's not easy being an entrepreneur, right? It's
Mhm.
there's a lot of risks and challenges. But for yourself, in your particular experiences, what would be your biggest challenges that you've faced when starting your business?
Yeah, gosh. Okay, so I'm gonna say two things. One is more businessy, and one is not so much.
Hmm.
And it went hand in hand though with starting a business. So
Yeah,
as I mentioned, I had my own kind of trauma filled background,
yeah,
and then I come from the psych field, so I'm very well educated in the things that you need to do in order to take care of your mental well-being.
yeah,
And I created that space for myself by traveling, and so I really leaned into how can I heal from kind of old crappy narratives, old crappy experiences, but how can I continue to push forward to cultivate more mental wellness? And I think a lot of people misunderstand, like, oh, they don't realize mental health is on a spectrum. You've got illness on one side, wellness on the other. Just because maybe you're not suffering with illness at some point, that doesn't necessarily mean you're cultivating wellness. And there
yeah,
is something to be said for building that resiliency. Um, and so I put a lot of time and energy into cultivating wellness. Like, how do I actually show up for myself, not just in a, self care, take a bubble bath sort of way, but really challenge my mindset, my narratives, how I'm actually showing up for myself on a daily basis and taking care of me and setting boundaries and communicating boundaries and all that stuff. And the more you do that, the better you're going to be able to show up as a business owner and the
Mhm.
better you're going to be able to be resilient in the face of, and I guarantee it, any and all setbacks that you're going to experience, because there's a
Yeah.
lot of that with running a business. So in terms of like, that's one aspect. I would say I was doing it before I started my business, and so that set me up really well.
Yeah.
I right now I work with people, and that's one of the aspects we work on is like nervous system management, cultivating mental wellness, because without it, they hit a wall where they can't grow past the level that they're at or that they've gotten to.
Yeah.
And also, if you don't have that mental fortitude, you won't last as an entrepreneur.
Right,
Um,
right.
that pressure can crush you. And then, like, that's the whole reason we want to get away from that. We don't want that. The whole point of being an entrepreneur is so that you get a sense of control of how you're spending your time and making money and creating the life that's worthwhile for you. So
Right.
that would be the one point is like really, focusing on mental wellness and nervous system management was very important for running a business, and definitely a roadblock that I set myself up well to overcome. But in terms of when I was in my business and some of my biggest challenges, right? Love what I do. I think I'm pretty good at what I do. I didn't know shit about shit when it came to running a business. I didn't
Yeah.
know, I it comes down to you really have to hone your marketing, your prospecting, and your sales.
Right.
And
Yes.
and I'm and with psychology, I'm good with sales. That I picked up very quickly. But with the marketing and prospecting and really creating true funnels to get in front of your ideal audience and
Yeah.
to speak their language and really put your stuff out there, it's a really big process. And um I didn't know much about it. I hired someone to help me, and that was a big game changer. I
Yeah.
was a coach. But I would say that was probably one of my biggest hurdles is realizing like you can love what you're doing and be excited at what you're doing, but you can't forget about the other avenues around that that make up your entire journey from marketing, prospecting, sales, fulfillment, offboarding, all that good
Mhm.
stuff.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for that. And right now, are you doing as far as the prospecting side and the marketing, like, are you doing just organic outreach, or are you doing a combination of both that and maybe like paid advertising? What are you currently doing?
Yeah, so currently I do organic content, which when you work on your copy and you do a solid, you get really good with your copy and you're speaking
Right.
your audience's language. It's really good.
Yeah.
So organic content, I do cold prospecting both on Facebook and LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I am stepping into, right? I've got a couple different avenues of I'm stepping into with this launch, which is just like a one-off thing you can do occasionally. Cold email is my next big thing that I have been setting up to gear up
Awesome.
for, which I'm very pumped for. When it comes to ads, in the beginning, my recommendation for people if you're just starting out is don't even
Don't do it.
begin
Yeah.
to mess with ads. Yeah, unless
Right.
you already have very clear language
Right.
around your services and the pain points of the people that you're targeting,
Right.
then yeah, you can. But it's really important to qualify your offer, qualify your services, make sure you are speaking people's language before you dump that money into ads because ads can get
Exactly.
expensive very quickly.
Very. Yeah. Very,
Hmm.
very much. Yeah, I didn't start doing ads until a year later. Everything that I
Hmm.
did for my business, initially, would I have my first business, a recruiting agency, and everything that we did were cold outreach, cold emails, campaigns, and cold, basically just DMing, emails, stuff like that. And
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't touch paid advertising until last month in my other businesses, once I
Oh,
understood like
nice.
the type of avatar that we're looking for, and the right offer that I already crafted with my team. So yeah,
Right.
it does get very expensive. So I love that.
Hmm.
I love that advice. And right now, you're obviously, you and I touch base on via Facebook, and people find you on LinkedIn, and if so, what's your name on there, so that way we can share it with our viewers
Sure.
and
Yeah,
listeners.
it's Kelsey March. So Kelsey and then March like the month.
Awesome.
It is a little different on Facebook. Facebook is Kelsey Nicole. I
Right.
don't know if you do show notes, but I can share both of the
Oh yeah,
links for those
yeah.
things.
We'll have notes for it, and then I'll definitely tag you into this episode as well. And that's pretty awesome. I think you being in this industry, and myself as well, because I have a huge network of entrepreneurs, business owners from 6 figure to 7, 8 figure earners. I think us connecting here is going to be helpful in your business as well. I'll get you introduced to some of the network that I have, and there's quite a few of them, especially in the 10x world.
Mhm.
Need a lot of help. We have new entrepreneurs that are uh, learning how to be really good in sales and marketing, but as far as performance wise, as an entrepreneur and business owner, they may not necessarily have that. So I think I'd be able to provide value, and by connecting the two of you together. I'm already thinking of one person that I want to reach out to first, and then and bring you up. If it aligns. But pretty awesome. I'm actually very excited to see your growth into the business, and especially your launch. That's very exciting. Um, I participated obviously because I know I'm going to learn a lot from there as a coach, and just the things that you're going to put out to everybody. So that's pretty awesome. As far as my next question, I want to ask you. Um, let's see here. I wrote down some things before we went live. So we talked about some challenges and everything else. Oh, your unique value proposition. What can you share with us with the crowd of what that is?
Yeah. So like I said, I kind of mentioned a little bit that
Hmm.
it's very rare that you see a combination of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Um, you see people who are in like the life coaching realm, who
Mm,
are doing
yes.
personal development coaching, all that stuff. And I didn't necessarily want to be considered a life coach, one, because I have very, very heavy psych training and background, and so it's a little
Yeah.
bit different. Um, but I didn't necessarily want to be a business coach because, one, I wasn't running a business, and who am I to
Hmm.
tell people how to fully build and grow a business? But
Right.
I found that, and this is actually really good. I want to make this point first, right? You said you've got a lot of entrepreneurs who are studying marketing, they're studying sales,
Yeah.
all this stuff. And once you kind of get a grasp on that and you start getting traction and you bring in consistent cash flow, stuff starts happening pretty quickly.
Right.
And you grow, you grow, you grow. But what happens is a lot of business owners, they're just like, throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what's
Yeah.
working, which is a great skill for entrepreneurs to be able to take that action very, like, spontaneously. But what happens is they get to a point where their bandwidth is maxed out.
Right.
They have all of this that they brought onto their plate, but they literally have no structure in place to support them or what they're doing, and they end up getting overwhelmed, and where they're constantly firefighting problems. They can't get ahead of stuff. They can't bring on either more team or more clients because, well, they need more money, but in order to make more money they need to bring on more clients, but they can't bring on
Right.
more clients because they don't have the infrastructure to manage that. And it just creates this really stressful bubble, which puts you kind of right back into that 9 to 5 rat race, that feeling of
Yes.
you're constantly pedaling.
Right. Right.
And and so I found that right at that level, and that's why I say I work with 6 figure business owners, because they are making that consistent cash flow. I'm not here
Right.
to help you, scale your business up from zero to, 10K a month, that sort of
Yeah.
thing. But more so, you've cracked the code for what you're doing, and you've done such a good job as a CEO. But being a COO is a little bit different. It's a different skill set, and
Absolutely.
so learning how to create that, one, the systems for yourself as a CEO, how to tell people no, how to how to
Yeah.
say no, I'm not going to do this, or no to yourself, and like really structuring your task management, your workflows, how you're actually communicating and delegating work to a team, or even hiring someone for the first time and stepping
Yeah.
into that leadership kind of avenue. And then also creating structures of what you're already doing, what's been successful, and taking those processes, documenting them, templatizing, systematizing, and getting it off of your plate. That is a realm that, like, the combination of the two, people don't realize uniquely those personal systems and the back end systems go hand in hand. And so I think my unique value proposition is what I've been told by all my clients is like, it's great. She's not a life coach. She's not a business coach. She does this like holistic approach to
Yeah,
helping guide you where you're at in your business to really ultimately increase your revenue and increase your time freedom. Like most of my people, we cut their hours in half while doubling the revenue.
I
And
love
that
that.
ultimately cultivates more mental wellness for them, which is my ultimate goal. So
That's
I bring that
awesome.
unique combination of the two positions, which I don't think many people do.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. I've met quite a few life coaches, and obviously, I'm a business coach and advisor. And yeah, as far as a high performance coach, I actually have not met anybody other than you. So I think you bring a lot of value for a lot of us who's juggling everything that we do, and sometimes it gets very very overwhelming when you have so many different tasks and feel like you don't have enough time in a day to accomplish all of them, and you just get frustrated. So for me, I tend to have a system in place. I do a lot of different you know um, coaching calls with my coaches as
Mhm,
well. But in order, like what I've done also while I was in the military to prioritize what's important is I just write everything down and kind of take action on what's needed and what needed to get done
mhm,
first and all that stuff. I feel like if I didn't really know how to do that from my previous experiences in the military, I you would just quit. You would just quit and
yeah,
you'll just give up because it gets very overwhelming and frustrating, and there's a lot of people that may be good at, let's say, if they started a tax consulting company, right? There's certain
mhm,
parts of the time of the year when it gets super busy, but when it does come, you're like, oh, what am I gonna do now? You're good at
yeah,
fixing people's taxes and all of that stuff, but in the business aspect of things and performance wise, a lot of them can get lost. So it's very cool what you do, and I'm pretty. I guess I mentioned, like, I'm pretty excited that you'll be able to help a lot
yeah,
of people. And I'm a connector myself. I do a lot of networking events. I'm in various different groups that I'm a part of,
mhm,
um, and I always like providing value by if they're having issues in certain things, I could say, hey, my friend Kelsey, she's a high performance coach that could essentially help you with this, and overcome
yeah,
some of your problems. So pretty excited. My last question that I want to ask is, if the people that are watching this episode, I'm assuming some of them are already entrepreneurs or business owners, because that's my market and that's my target audience for this podcast. But there may be someone who's an aspiring entrepreneur. What would be your
yeah.
advice to that individual or to the people that's wanting to start entrepreneurship?
Yeah. Okay. So this actually applies probably to everybody. And we may have heard this before, but
Hmm.
if you're looking to get into entrepreneurship or you're looking to start a new arm of your business or
Yeah.
start a new aspect of your business, um, just start. Like
Awesome. I love
take
it.
it's about and I just want to emphasize because like a lot of people, especially entrepreneurs, they are highly motivated
Right.
and they are like forward thinkers. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs are also like, they're just thinking all the time. So, with that, sometimes comes a little bit of that perfectionist avenue of like, well, I need to make sure this works. And we go down the rabbit hole of all the different avenues of will this work, won't it, blah, 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 blah. But in the end, you'll never know until you start taking action. And then once you take one step, that gives you new information to be like, does this feel good? Did this give me
Yeah.
the results that I was looking for? And then you can decide, do you want to keep going in the direction you were originally going, or do you need to parse off in another one? Our progress is not linear. It's
Mm.
very much so an up and down kind of graph that continues to go up over time. And it can feel messy and it can not feel great all the time, but allowing yourself to take baby steps and reminding yourself that it's a first attempt in learning and not necessarily failure can be really helpful. So, wherever you're at, if you're curious about doing something, trying something, take one little tiny bit of action and then see where that puts you. And see what's the next step you can do, and then continue building from there. Because I can say, it's like, from now to 4 years ago, would I have imagined that I'm doing what I'm doing and
Yeah.
how I got here? Absolutely not. I knew I wanted to do something. I knew I wanted to, like, get out there and do things, and I have, and I'm creating something, but it's I could have never imagined it. I just had to take baby steps in action and stay consistent with that.
That's awesome. What a great advice. I appreciate you taking the time, Kelsey, coming onto the podcast. I'm definitely looking forward to staying connected with you, and I'm looking forward to your challenge that's coming up next month. So, not sure if this is going to go live before then, but I will definitely help promote it. I know you have a very limited space, so I want to attract the right audience for this. And but
Yeah, appreciate it.
nonetheless, yeah, yeah, for sure. I'm so glad that you and I connected. I'm sure we'll be able to work together and do business at some point, bring each other value. And I'm a big believer that collaboration is the new currency. And you know, our what we do for others is something that I truly believe in, and I know you and I will be able to help a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners out there. So that being said, that's it for this episode, guys. Follow Kelsey Nicole in Facebook and LinkedIn. I'll also add her the different accounts that she's in once this episode launched. But if you found this valuable, if you found this episode helpful, please like, subscribe, and follow me for more talks on entrepreneurship and business scaling. Until then, we'll talk to you later. Take care, guys.